Hello kids! Another day, another learning. For this video, we will be recognizing evaluative word choices to detect biases used by speakers. In reading or watching, a reader is said to be effective if he knows how to weigh facts and information without being biased and subjective in favor of someone or something. So, this lesson will help you develop your skills in detecting statements with biased judgment.
To start with, what is bias? Bias is the action of supporting or opposing a particular person or thing in an unfair way because of allowing personal opinions to influence your judgment. It is generally seen as one-sided perspective. These are judgments based on your personal point of view. It is when a writer or a speaker uses a selection of facts, choices of words, and quality and tone of description to convey a particular feeling or attitude. How do we detect biases? We have here evaluative words often used by speakers to convey or relay emotions or feelings he wanted his listeners or readers to feel. Here are examples of evaluative words used by speakers to detect biases: manipulated, blamed, abused, betrayed, bullied, disliked, criticized, isolated, patronized, ignored, harassed, intimidated, misunderstood, neglected, put down, rejected, tricked, victimized, violated, threatened, righted, wanted, used, taken for granted, stalked, pressured, neglected, invisible, insulted, cheated. We have here the types of bias. First, bias by omission. An author is said to be biased if he alters facts to force the reader to have an opinion about a subject. Example, Boracay is the most beautiful tourist attraction in the Philippines. This is a biased statement because it stays only in the speaker's opinion and it is not backed up by any evidence. The speaker may be someone who loves beach than any other attractions, or may be a resident of Boracay who just wants to advertise the place. Another, these hamburgers taste horrible. This bias statement is made by someone who doesn't like some ingredients in the hamburger. It's his personal opinion, not an objective statement based on neutral evidence. It is leaving one side out of an article or a series of articles over a period of time. For every news that is selected, there are many things that are left out. Do the news stories you see show a balanced view of real life? What are the characteristics they have in common? Example, are they mostly about violence, famous people, wealth? Do some news sources include items that are ignored by others? Second, bias by selection of sources. This includes more sources that support one view over another. Third, bias by story selection. This is a pattern of highlighting news stories that coincide with the agenda of either the left or right, while ignoring stories that coincide with the opposing view. Fourth, bias by placement. It is a measure of how important the editor coincides the story. Fifth, bias by labeling. This occurs when a reporter not only fails to identify a liberal as liberal or a conservative as conservative, but describes the person with positive labels. Sixth, bias by spin occurs when the story has only one interpretation of an event or policy, to the exclusion of the other. Remember, bias is the action of supporting or opposing a particular person or thing in an unfair way because of allowing personal opinions to influence your judgment. It means favoring one person or side over another. It is a tendency or preference toward a perspective generally seen as one-sided. It is a judgment based on personal point of view. Another way of reading for bias is to look for exaggerated or colorful language. To do this, look for words, lines, phrases, or sentences. Consider whether the language used in the writing are informational or emotional, and that authors have presented enough evidence, and whether the evidence is reliable and convincing. Testing time! Direction. Encircle the letter of your correct answer. 1. Which word indicates bias in this statement? This is the best tasting coffee. A. This. B. Best. C. Tasting. D. Coffee. Number 2. Which statement contains bias? A. Shoppers at a supermarket are asked to choose the best dog food. B. Cats can grow their whiskers back from 2 to 3 months. C. Dogs' noses are wet to help absorb scent chemicals. D. A shopping mall contains variety of retail stores. Number 3. Which advertisement line contains an author's bias? A. Good carbohydrates contain a lot of nutrients, create fuel for our bodies, and don't add a lot of sugar into the blood. B. First, let's consider the age-old carbohydrate that everyone loves, oatmeal. C. Black peas, chicken peas, soybeans, and most beans are other examples of good carbs. D. Fruits such as peaches, plums, and cherries are excellent high-fiber foods. Number 4. Story reflecting one side to the exclusion of the other. A. Bias by spin. B. Bias through omission. C. Bias by labeling. D. Bias through placement. Number 5. A reporter uses such phrases as expert believe or most people believe. A. Bias by spin. B. Bias through placement. C. Bias by selection of sources. D. Bias through omission. Write bias if the paragraph or sentence shows content or language bias, and unbiased if it does not. Number 6. The policeman conducted a thorough investigation at the crime scene. Number 7. Baguio City has one of the best contact tracing mechanism in the Philippines. This is proven by how fast and efficient the local government is able to trace primary and secondary contacts of confirmed COVID-19 patients. Mayor Benjamin Magalong was appointed as contact tracing czar of our country. Number 8. If Sara Duterte runs for President of the Philippines, I will definitely vote for her. Coming from Davao myself, I am proud and honored to have a kababayan in Malacanang. Number 9. Baguio Central School is hailed as one of the several best performing schools in the country. This award is deserved since the school has bagged numerous awards and is in fact a Hall of Fame awardee in some of the meritorious competitions. You can check out the Wall of Fame at the school lobby, which displays all the trophies that the school has amassed throughout the years. Number 10. The handicapped should be given access to buildings and public places. Let's check your answers. 1. B. 2. A. 3. B. 4A, 5C, 6 bias, 7 unbiased, 8 bias, 9 unbiased, 10 bias. Did you get it all? Very good!
This ends our lesson for this video. I hope that this will help you in your studies. Goodbye for now. Till next video.